Hello again, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to your week 4 video for English essays. All right, as I mentioned in all the other videos, the first half of this course is really about kind of taking in knowledge, taking in concepts, considering them in our mind, and just thinking about how they apply to writing English essays or essays in general. A lot of the stuff that I will cover applies mostly just to writing, so they can be quite helpful even if you're writing in another language as well. So this week I'm going to discuss essential elements of writing. It is something I discuss in all of my writing courses. And it's going to be a very general discussion, but I think it's going to be very helpful. All right, we've talked about so far the use of language. We've talked about the structure of essays, and we've talked about theses. And this week, more general. I'll apply it to essays, but you should know most of what we'll discuss in here can be applied to all kinds of writing. And understanding these concepts, maybe you have an idea about them already. Maybe you don't. Maybe you won't fully understand them. I don't. Okay, nobody does. These concepts are not science. And the way that we apply these concepts is not uniform. It's not the same. So these are just ideas. They're seeds I want to plant in your mind and let them grow and develop as you get more experience as a writer in this class or in the future. And even as a reader and an editor, whatever role you're playing when it comes to written communication, I want you to think about these concepts. All right? They are essential elements of writing. Okay? They're concepts that we can use to build and discuss our written communication. Now, in this video, in this lecture, and in these notes, I'm using the basic kind of building block as a paragraph to discuss these concepts. I think that's helpful because basically all writing, especially at the essay level, is built upon these basic building blocks of paragraphs. Now, of course, in writing, there are smaller building blocks too, right? We have just our letters, the characters in our languages, right? In English, we have our ABCs. Those ABCs are used to form the next step up, which are words, okay? And words they carry meaning. They have functions as well. And then words, if we put words together, they form phrases, which have a relationship and communicate something a little bit more deeply. And then if we use phrases together, we might get clauses, okay? And if we put clauses together or alone, we can have sentences. And if we put sentences together, we get paragraphs. And if we put paragraphs together, we can have sections. And if we put sections together, essays. We put essays together, you can have a collection of essays and form a book or a textbook or any other kind of writing as well. But for our purposes in this discussion, I think using the paragraph as a basic building block here is the appropriate level for this discussion. All right, so let's consider that. I'm going to be talking about paragraphs, but I'm also going to apply it to the overall form of an essay as well. All right. So when I discuss this, I'm going to discuss 4 elements of writing. They are the topic sentence, unity, development, and coherence. Now, just an important note, of these four things, topic sentences are only pertinent to paragraphs. Okay? A topic sentence is a part of a paragraph and only a paragraph. Okay? But when we talk about unity, development, and coherence, we can apply those concepts to not only paragraphs, we can apply them to sentences or clauses, or we can apply them to a whole essay, or a whole book, or a whole section. All right? But a topic sentence is only unique to a paragraph. All right? So make sure you understand that as well. But it's something important I'd like to include in this discussion. All right, and as I said, this is a general discussion. This might be review to you. It might be new to you. If you have heard different things, or if you don't understand these concepts, please feel free to contact me. But also remember that these are, what I'm about to tell you, are not necessarily rules, but mostly good advice that you can follow. Not hard rules, okay? Keep that in mind. Writing is an art, not a science, and there are some things that teachers might tell you are rules, but are not really rules. Anyway, let's get into this discussion. Make sure you have your notes. Make your own notes. Write your notes as we go, especially if you have questions. And also, at the end of the note, there's a little exercise I've included this week to help us focus on coherence, and this will connect to week 5 as well. Okay, make sure when you get to this exercise, do the exercise first, because the last page will give you the answers. So don't read the answers until you do the exercise. All right. Let's begin our discussion on essential elements of writing. Okay? Understanding these concepts will hopefully make you a better overall writer, but they're also important in developing not only how we write, but how we read and how we can edit not only our writing, but others' writings as well. Okay, so when we do editing, or you do self-editing, or we want to discuss our work, these are also important vocabulary to use to kind of break down what makes for good writing or bad writing, or better words, effective writing and ineffective writing. Clear writing. Okay, it's not good to say, well, that's good writing. Okay, what does that mean? Or that's bad writing. What does that mean? Okay, it's not helpful either. If you're trying to tell me, Alistair, I read your essay and I don't understand you, it's not effective. Or it's just, Alistair, it's a bad essay. Okay, first, when I'm done crying, all right, next I'm going to ask you why. And we can use these concepts to break it down, to criticize and analyze, and give good criticism that can be helpful to understanding why something is successful or what needs to be improved. This is good vocabulary for writers and editors and readers to have. All right, so our 4 essential elements of writing. Okay, from a paragraph perspective, but also applied to essays. All right, the first one is topic sentences. And again, just want to stress, a topic sentence only pertains to a paragraph. And I don't want you to confuse it with a thesis or thesis statement, although they seem similar. Quick review, pop quiz, what is a thesis statement? A thesis is the main idea of an essay, and a thesis statement is the main idea in a sentence, a grammatically complete sentence. All right? Now, that is different from a topic sentence, because a thesis controls the whole essay. the form of an essay. A topic sentence, a little bit similar, because a topic sentence clearly states the main idea of a paragraph, and only a paragraph. Okay, so that's how they're similar. But a thesis is much more important because it governs a whole essay, not a paragraph. So, if you want to think about a metaphor here, if you have a 5-paragraph essay, introduction, body, 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 conclusion, okay, and think about that 5-paragraph essay like a corporation, like a Chebo, like Samsung. The thesis is your CEO. But if you have, 5 paragraphs, then each paragraph has a different topic sentence. They're lower in the structure. These might be, the regional manager of Jala. All right, here's the regional manager of Gyeongsan. Okay, but the thesis controls everything. It's the CEO and president. Okay, in that sense. So the thesis is much more important. A thesis is a main idea of an essay. The topic sentence is a sentence that states the main idea of a paragraph, and only a paragraph. All right? Okay. Glad you got that. Now, when we talk about a topic sentence, we want to talk about what makes a good topic sentence. And by good, I mean effective. All right? So we need to think about what that is. Now, when we look at a paragraph, it is a collection of sentences. Okay? It depends. It can be a short paragraph, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences. It might be a long paragraph, 15, 16, 17 sentences. Okay, there's a lot of difference between how long paragraphs are. I would suggest most paragraphs are probably between 8 to 12 or 10 to 12 sentences in general. All right? But a topic sentence, as I said, states the main idea of a paragraph. But to develop a paragraph, we need supporting ideas, whatever examples those might be. All right? So when we consider that, we should know that the topic sentence is the most general sentence in a paragraph, because we need to say more specific things to develop that topic. But when we consider a paragraph, we also have to consider what it's trying to do. Okay, and in considering what it's trying to do, we have to consider its boundaries, its limits, right? What are we focused on? What is our scope for our paragraph? Okay? And if you only have 10 or 12 sentences to develop it, all right, you can't, for example, talk about every aspect of climate change. You have to be a little bit more specific than this paragraph is about climate change. Focus on an aspect, or consider your scope in that case. So in many ways, writing an effective topic sentence, it is going to be the most general sentence, but it is not too general. Okay? For example, if I gave you a topic, write a paragraph about Alistair, and you say, okay, well, this paragraph is about Alistair. All right? That's a topic sentence. It introduces the main idea, the subject, Alistair. Okay? Effective? No, not effective. Too general. Okay? So what? What is your paragraph? Where's your paragraph going to go? That topic sentence doesn't really effectively frame the paragraph. You can do better. Okay? I will understand that this paragraph is about Alistair, but that, in terms of writing, it's not a very good style. That is too general. Okay? So maybe you want to say, okay, you want something more specific. Alistair is 186 centimeters tall. There you go. A wonderful fact about a wonderful man. All right? No, not a great topic sentence there. Why? This is the other side. This is too specific. Right? What are you going to write about? How does that define your topic? Even if you were to write a paragraph about my height, okay? Well, where do you go next? This sentence is too specific. I mean, that's it. That is the whole topic. If your topic is Alistair's height, that is it perfectly. Alistair's 186 centimeters tall, right? Or 6'1" if you want. So that's too specific. You can't develop it. So we want to find a sentence that really introduces the topic and allows some sort of development and gives us the boundaries for that. So if your goal as a writer, okay, what are you writing? Why are you writing it? Who are you writing it for? If you're writing a paragraph just to introduce this guy to the public, perhaps you want to use a sentence like, Alistair is a Canadian English teacher who lives in Chanju and works at Chambok National University. Okay, so this sentence introduces the topic, Alistair, gives details about where he's from, where he is now, and what he does. Okay, all of these things can then be developed in the paragraph, and you get a better portrait of who the subject is. All right, so that would be a more effective topic sentence. All right. Now, I want to give you some more advice here. When giving you the general example of a too general topic sentence, I said this paragraph is about Alistair. In general, you want to avoid phrases like this paragraph is about, or this is about, or let me introduce, or I'm going to write about, or I'm going to talk about. Okay, those are what we call empty phrases. Again, these are poor style, not effective style. All right, it really kind of highlights the difference between spoken language and written language. That kind of introduction to a topic is something that is more from the spoken language, because in the spoken language, whether it's English or any other, we have more kind of politics and diplomacy, more performance, all right? We don't want to speak so directly, all right? We want to kind of slow down and pace and be warm, friendly kind of people, and that takes time and breath and pace. But if we're writing something, we're putting words on a page. We're not talking from my mouth face to face to your ear. So we don't have the same kind of politics of language. We can be more direct, especially in kind of academic writing. We want to be more direct. If you're writing something personal from one person to another, like a text message or an email, or even a personal essay, we can let our personalities come into it more, because we are putting ourselves more into the writing. That's why it's called personal writing. But if you're writing something more formally, more objectively, more academically, like we will be in our first essay, then we can avoid all the diplomacy and whatnot, okay? And get to the point. Be direct, all right? Now, again, there are exceptions. These are not rules. You will find exceptions where you might say, for example, in academic essays, in an abstract, you say, this essay will deal with XYZ. Okay, that's kind of a convention, where it's a kind of the author speaking to the audience about what's inside. So that is kind of interpersonal. But the writing itself is there to emphasize the material, the science or the data, the information that is going to be conveyed. That is the celebrity, not you, the writer. Okay, so generally avoid those empty phrases. They're empty because they don't carry any real value. They have interpersonal value, but they don't have a lot of meaning. All right? Okay, next I want to talk about the location of a topic sentence. I am going to advise you that in general, topic sentences should be at or near the beginning of a paragraph. Okay, again, it's not a rule. Technically, a topic sentence can come at or near the beginning, in the middle, or at the end. What makes it effective depends on what you're writing, why you're writing, how you're writing it, or sorry, who you're writing it to. They can be effective depending on your strategy. But in general, and especially when it comes to academic writing, like in your first essay, and in most essay writing actually, putting your topic sentence at or near the beginning is very helpful to improve the coherence or understandability of your writing, because it allows the reader to better understand what comes next. And what comes next is your supporting ideas, your development. Okay, think about it this way. If I were to tell you cotton balls, garden hose, dish soap, kimchi, canned tuna, towel, that is a random list of items. Does it make sense to you in any way? Can you conceive of a possibility where these items should be written down together on a list? All right? If you just see those randomly written on a note, why? What is this? It's mysterious. However, if at the top of that note, I'd say, shopping list for eMart, you say, that makes perfect sense. These are the items I need to buy when I go shopping. Okay, so that is why I recommend, usually, in general, the best place for a topic sentence is at or near the beginning of a paragraph. Okay? Again, not a rule. It depends on what you're writing, why you're writing, who you're writing to. Okay, that's about it for topic sentences. Just remember what it is, what it does, and some of the good advice to writing clear topic sentences. All right. In your essays, if you put the topic sentence at the beginning of a paragraph, it's generally a good idea to in that topic sentence, maybe remind the reader of your thesis. Just a hint. Might talk about that later. All right, now, these concepts that I'm talking about, remember, the topic sentence only deals with paragraphs. But these concepts also do overlap or help each other in many ways, right? A good topic sentence helps with unity. Topic sentences and unity and development, they all help to create coherence. So there's a lot of overlap here. So consider these different concepts and how they can help each other. So our next essence or element here would be unity. A very old, very simple concept, but a very important one. All right. Unity is the concept of oneness. Okay, think about the word universe, this oneness, unity. To unify a country, to unify a people means to become one. Very simple concept, something the ancient Greeks were discussing thousands of years ago. All right, and let me give you a bit of a hint about unity and topic sentences, for example, and how they might overlap. Again, unity, when we talk about just a paragraph, right, one paragraph should have one idea or two very closely connected ideas that are developed, right? That's how you write the structure of a paragraph. So you have your topic sentence, and then you have your supporting ideas, your sentences that develop that topic sentence, right? Or in an essay, you have a thesis in your introduction, and then you have your body paragraphs, which develop the thesis. So a good, strong topic sentence or a good, strong thesis can be used to test your unity. For example, if we're talking about a paragraph and you wonder, is my paragraph unified, right? Or do I have a good topic sentence? Read your topic sentence and then read each other sentence and see if they, in ideas, connect to each other. Okay? Do they help and come together? Is there some sort of logic between them? But when we talk about unity, it's not just the unity of reason, of logic, but also the unity of feeling, of tone and mood as well. All right? So let's consider that. You can do the same thing with a good thesis, right? When you look at your thesis, consider the supporting ideas for each body paragraph, and then within each body paragraph, do all of those work towards developing or supporting your thesis. All right? If they don't, you need to change it or get rid of it. Okay? You can change the way you word it, change your logic, but it's got to fit. It's got to come together as one, to be unified. All right? So, again, if we go back to the idea of a paragraph, all right, and I'll go back to my idea about if you're writing a paragraph and your job is to introduce me, all right? If you just focus on how you write each sentence, you might think, hey, this is easy, good job. But it has to be unified. So if you are writing one paragraph, maybe 7 or 8 sentences, and your job is to introduce me, you have to think about the concept of unity. All right, so you've written a good topic sentence, an effective topic sentence. You have written, Alistair is a Canadian teacher who lives in Changju and teaches at Chambok National University. That's your first sentence. You put it up at the beginning, and then you're going to develop that idea. All right, your next sentence. Alistair originally moved to Changju in 2004 to be a teacher. That seems to connect. It develops. It's logical. It flows. Next sentence. In 2004, that was the same year that he met his friend Colin, a fellow teacher in Changju. Okay, now, it connects, makes sense. I'm following the story, but let's continue. Next sentence. Colin is also from Canada, but he was born in Victoria, British Columbia. Next sentence. Victoria, British Columbia is a town in British Columbia, Canada, which is famous for its wonderful harbor. In the harbor is a famous boat called the XYZ. All right. Now, if you follow those sentences, they do connect logically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can follow the story. But if I say, here's my paragraph that introduces Alistair, you say, no, it doesn't. You have not written an effective paragraph. I say, okay, I'm sorry, dear editor. Can you tell me how to improve it? You'd say, yes, this really lacks unity. Your development starts this way, but goes over into this. We end up in the harbor of Victoria, British Columbia. There's no unified direction or path that develops, that fully and adequately develops your subject, which is Alistair Calder. Okay? So, in that sense, that paragraph really lacks unity. So you can use a topic sentence to kind of test your unity as well and keep you focused. And on a larger level, you should be able to do the same thing with your thesis and your whole essay. So look for an effective topic sentence in your each paragraph, but look for your thesis to be helpful in controlling and unifying your whole essay as well. All right. Now, when we're talking about unity, it's not just the logical unity, but also the tone and the mood. All right. If you're writing shifts, you're happy here and then sad or angry here, right? Within a paragraph, that's confusing for a reader. So if your perspective on a topic here is critical and then it shifts to be, positive, you probably want to make two different paragraphs. Or if your thesis is, sets the tone as being negative or positive, the rest of the essay should carry that same feeling, okay, the same tone. Otherwise, you don't have the unity of mood or feeling or tone. So unity, it's not just logic, it's feeling as well when we talk about that. Okay, moving on. The third element to talk about, one that we can use to discuss, the development, the completion, not only of a paragraph, but even in lower blocks like a sentence, or larger pieces of writing like a whole essay or a whole story. That's development. So development deals with the content of ideas, the ideational content. All right. So again, we really need to think about what we are writing, why we're writing it, who we're writing it for. In this class, we have an academic essay, we have a personal essay. They're both essays. You might even choose to write about similar topics, but what it is as an academic persuasive essay and a personal essay, it's going to change the language that you use and also the things you use to develop it. All right. So if you, again, if you are writing about, I don't know, you're talking about smartphones. Okay. If you want to write an academic paper on the use of smartphones, you're going to go get data. All right. For example, maybe your thesis is smartphones are harmful to the development of children under the age of 14. Okay, great. If you're writing an academic essay, go get data that supports that from other experts, child specialists, child development specialists, psychology professors, other aspects that deal with experts and studies that support it. But if you're writing, a personal essay, maybe in the form of an email, right, and you're maybe giving advice to your friend about how to raise children, and saying, I believe you have a thesis, even though it's just a personal email in a kind of essay form. It's an opinion, right? I don't let children use smartphones. I don't let my children use smartphones, and you shouldn't either. And here's why. Okay, you can use that kind of data and specific arguments and give it to your friend. But a lot of people often will use more emotional aspects and personal experience and anecdotes. So very different ways of developing the same idea, the same opinion, depending on what you're writing, why you're writing, who you're writing to. But no matter what we use to develop, we always need to think about two cues as well. Okay, whether you're writing that academic essay or the personal essay, consider the quality of the information that you're using to support your idea, and consider the quantity of the information you're using as well. So again, the personal experience is not high quality development for an academic essay. The other way might be true, but that might be too boring for your friend. You know your friend, maybe they're not really interested in science and stuff, or maybe they don't read very well, or they can't understand very scientific things. So you just want to change how you present that information. Okay, that's what you need to think about in terms of the quality for what you're writing. Okay, or at the same time, if you're giving me data from 2010 when there's a new study that's 2020, or even this year 2021, that's going to be better data, and it's going to be more convincing for your academic essay, right? That's important there. Also, in terms of quantity, right? Think about it this way: how much is enough? In this class, I'm going to give you a limit to how many words you can use for each of your essays. But in real world situations, think about if you're writing a personal essay in the form of an email to your friend. How many people want to read a 10-page email? Usually emails we try to keep 1 or 2 pages. Sometimes depending on your relationship, you get into long emails, and that's great sometimes. But most people just want that information relatively briefly, okay? But another aspect to consider in terms of quantity, how much, is think about how you structure and organize your essay. For example, if you have your essay, 5 paragraphs, introduction, body, 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 conclusion, you have 3 main points to support your thesis developed in the body. Your first point, you have so much to talk about. You write 1 full page, page and a half. These 2, you couldn't really find a lot. They seem like really interesting and they support your thesis, but you can only write 1/4 of a page and 1/4 of a page. So in your body, this portion of the body takes 1.5 pages. This 1/4 page, this 1/4 page. In terms of style, that's really kind of poor style. It seems there's a bad balance. It's imbalanced, all right? I would recommend, if I were editing your essay, you do a better job researching these somewhat thinner or weaker points so that you can say more or find better points. All right. Now, it's not just about length. It is about kind of the meaning, the strength behind them too. But, having such an imbalance is really not a great way to organize your essay in that way. Okay, so something to consider there. All right, so consider what it is you're writing. Is it a personal essay? Is it an academic essay or something in between? And think about, why you're writing. What is the purpose? So that can influence what you choose. And who is your audience? That will influence what you consider to be the best development too. Right? A lot of things to consider, not just quantity and quality. All right, the last aspect I want to discuss in today's notes is decoherence or understandability. All right, you may come across this concept in a different word. Some books, textbooks, or some professors or teachers, instructors, or friends may use the word cohesion. Going back over the last 20, 30, 40 years, the word cohesion and cohesion in this understanding were sometimes used as the same word or almost the same word. The way I teach it is a little bit different. The way I understand it is a little bit different. I like to focus on coherence being a larger, more conceptual thing, a conceptual idea, and cohesion, a more practical, applied thing. All right. So I will talk about cohesion devices or cohesive devices, things you can do and apply with language to improve the connection of your ideas. So cohesion is a part of coherence. All right. And as I said, a lot of these things overlap anyway. So coherence, as I define it, is the overall understandability of your writing. Okay, it is how clearly you communicate your ideas. And coherence is the result of many good habits of writing. If you write effective topic sentences, if you can unify your writing, if you can develop it adequately, you will create understandability. You will create coherence. Okay, so it is a result of many things, the product of many habits. Now, this week I want to keep the discussion broad and general. So what we're here talking about applies not only to the essays we're writing this class, but all writing in general. And for that reason, I'll keep my kind of definition explanation of coherence fairly general too. And I'll use a kind of metaphor to help describe it. Okay, and that is the idea of bridges. We'll talk about logical bridges and verbal bridges. All right, a bridge is something we use to connect from one place to another. All right, so we're trying to get, when we write, we're trying to communicate ideas. We're trying to get an idea from this place to that place, okay? From my mouth to your ear, from my page to your eye, so you can understand that information. All right, so how do we do that? We do it with bridges. We communicate via bridges. So the simple metaphor here of the bridge, I'm going to break down into two kind of examples. One being a logical bridge, a bridge of logic. Two being a verbal bridge, okay, a bridge of words, and in a sense a kind of grammar as well. All right, the words, the use of language to connect ideas compared to the actual logic, the reason, the thinking that connect ideas. All right, so what do I mean by that? Here's an example of logic. If I say A, B, C, D, you are thinking E, F, G, okay? Or if I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you're thinking 11, 12, right? That's logic. There's an inherent logic built into that language, which makes sense to the listener, okay, or the audience. But if we go back to kind of an idea of randomness, if I said mirror, cup, mouse, collar, what's the next word in that list? I don't know either. That's random. There's no logical connection there. Okay? So when we, as writers of essays in this class, or of anything, when we're thinking about how do we put together our words to form phrases, to form clauses, to form sentences, to form paragraphs, to form sections, to form essays, to form books. All right, how do we do that in a logical way? 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. Okay, we need to be careful, critical, organized writers. We need to plan how we're thinking, and we need to consider what we're writing, who we're writing to, and why we're writing. Okay, so consider that as well. So in terms of logic, if I'm writing about teaching and my audience, I'm writing maybe an essay for a teaching journal for other teachers to read, I can jump from here to here to here because I can assume my readers are other teachers who have a good foundation of information. They know about the topic that I'm talking about. So I can make bigger spans with my bridge. I can travel greater distances. All right? But if I'm writing about the same topic and publishing it, exact same topic, and publishing it in the newspaper as a newspaper article, my audience changes. My audience is everybody who reads a newspaper. And I don't expect my audience to understand teaching as well as teachers do. So I need to slow down. I need to make smaller jumps. All right? Or I need to explain concepts when I introduce them. All right? That changes how I write it. Okay? And that's how I need to think about logically ordering something. Or, even forgetting the audience, just think about what is the best, clearest way to present information in the way that I want it to be presented to have an effect. So if I want to persuade you, how can I organize my argument so that it is the most persuasive thing, all right, and understood? Okay, now that's kind of logical bridges and how they connect ideas. We want to think about things in a clear way. But we also need to think about verbal bridges. And sometimes the logic is not enough. We need to help to use words and grammar to really emphasize or illuminate the connections and the relationships between ideas. And we can do that, for example, using conjunctions or using conjunctive adverbs. Okay, here's one using conjunctions. Here's an example where maybe you can consider both. All right, two sentences. It was cold last night. Today, I don't feel well. All right, the logic of these sentences probably makes sense in forms and narrative. Okay, you're probably assuming that because of the cold weather, I feel sick. My immune system was compromised and I caught a cold, all right, or the flu. Now, that logic might be strong enough. The logical bridge of just ordering those ideas might be enough for you to understand that story. But some writers might say, I need more. All right, I need to make this stronger to be understood. All right, so I might change the grammar of the sentence and use a conjunctive adverb or a conjunction, subordinating conjunction. Because the weather was so cold yesterday, I am ill today, or I caught the flu. All right, something like that. So now you're introducing this word because to highlight the relationship. So that use of the word because is an example of a verbal bridge. All right, so what is most important? They're both important. Which one should you focus on first? Logical coherence. All right, see how strong you can connect your ideas. But as a good writer, you can add other words or grammar or structure that really help to highlight the relationship between ideas. Okay, but they're both bridges and they're both designed to help you better understand the communicated information. Okay? All right, so that's really what I want to focus on with coherence and creating understandability. So what we're talking about today is really how to generally improve your writing, okay? And we can focus on paragraphs or we can focus on all writing, especially when we talk about unity, development, and coherence. Okay, and I want you hopefully to try and apply this and develop this understanding and how it is achieved. So what we talked about is fairly abstract, just kind of theory right now. But I want to apply that so you can get a better experience, a practical experience. So in this note, as I mentioned earlier, you will come across next a little exercise in understanding coherence. Okay, and next week we'll deal with a little bit deeper on these issues as well. But what we have for this exercise, remember, don't read to the end yet. Stay here. Don't read this yet. Stay here. There are, I believe, 9 sentences. Okay? And these come from one paragraph. So there's one well-written, unified, coherent paragraph. I have chopped up the paragraph into 9 random sentences. I want you to think about this as a paragraph. Think about it. If you were the writer, how would you logically organize these 9 sentences into a paragraph? It's an exercise. It's designed to help you think about what is effective. Okay, there is no right or wrong answer. There are better answers. You can argue one way or another, and it's kind of difficult to go backwards this way, but it's just an exercise to practice something, to get you engaged in thinking about it. All right? So choose what you think is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Do your best. Consider what we've talked about with topic sentences, unity, development, and coherence. And then you can read the paragraph as it was originally written. So if you must have a perfect answer, this is how it was originally written. Okay? So that's just a little exercise to do for this week. Again, it is not part of your grade. You do not need to submit it. Just exercise, okay? And check your answers there. All right, and again, we'll just continue adding new skills, new concepts, new information to our minds, and this will take us up to the midterm, up to week 8. And in the second half of this semester is when we'll really try to apply all of this knowledge into writing 2 essays. All right, thank you for listening. Take care, everybody. Be well.